Oh, there we are. We just set up the desktop behind me. Yeah, sorry, folks, I can't do this ahead of time. YouTube doesn't allow it until I am on the air. Hey, Jane. Just setting up the desktop. I still don't trust that all the messages are coming across the mobile device. It's funny when I'm on my desktop, my own station or channel is playing a commercial. So I guess if you guys are watching on the desktop, you have to open with a commercial. Hey, Kathy. Hey, Leanne. There we go. Now we have it set up. Now let me just set it up on the little phone screen. Yeah, make sure you guys are watching. If you're watching the chat, you set to live chat rather than top chat. Then you can see all the messages. I am surviving. Thank you for asking, Kathy. Hey, there's another Kathy, Kathy Mowry. Welcome in. Still need to hydrate. Hey there, no name princess. Welcome in. Let's just give it a few minutes to let people in. And I say this every time, but I really need to keep this one shorter. And I still need to work on the thumbnail. For some reason, the thumbnails that I'm using a new software for, when I make them over on Canva, they're not sizing right. And then I have to put a black background in, and then I have to redo them later. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. It's really making me crazy because I'm spending at least a half an hour before each video to make the thumbnail, and it's not working out. So I'm actually losing time now. Hey, P679Y. Me and my grandson are watching. Well, thanks for watching. 15 people. Hey, I'm April Davis, also known as April Davis PI. I am a licensed California private investigator, and it is Tuesday, May 19th, 2026. This is going to be about Nancy Guthrie. This is day number 108. Kathy, I got my labs, came back good. Good to hear it. Let's see. Okay, this is day 108, Nancy Guthrie. I still have a problem with this new software with the thumbnails not sizing properly. So I may have to just, turn that off and go back to the old-fashioned ones, but I don't like the old-fashioned ones. It's supposed to be quicker to do it this way. Just for some reason, the last week, I'm having a very difficult time getting the size right so it fits completely in that little canvas square as a YouTube thumbnail. So that's the temporary thumbnail. It's better to have a temporary thumbnail than to go live with no thumbnail at all. So I hate to go down this path. And we don't want to get, religious here or anything like that. But I'm sure all of you have known people that have passed away. And depending on how somebody passes, there's the very real chance that before they completely do what they have to do on the other side, that sometimes they hang around a bit. And it really depends on the circumstances of the end of their life, their health, how they pass. Supposedly, people that are unalived don't pass over as quickly. I would hate to think that somebody is stuck in spirit. What is on my cap? That is my Wi-Fi mic. My grandson passed away yesterday, but he's still watching today. Whoa. I'm sorry to hear that. P6 says Nancy is probably in Mexico. I'm not feeling that. Could be, but I'm just not feeling that. Let me talk about, I did watch a little bit of some of the boots on the ground last night. I'm not subscribed to any of these fellows, but I do check them out when I can. You know, it's the night before they did a recreation of the crime, and um, it got pretty creepy actually. And it wasn't anything that they planned. It was just things that happened. And apparently they were out there again last night. I saw a few others that I hadn't seen the night before because I started watching so late. I don't think they were out there as late. You know, I went to bed at some point. And then when I tried to look at it later, they were already off the air. So I don't know how late they stayed out last night. But this neighbor, remember Aldine? And we couldn't figure out if she was Aldine or Aileen. She is Aldine. Her name is Aldine Meister. Let me pull her up. Although she is often mistakenly referred to as Aldine, but it's Aldine Meister. She lives in the Catalina foothills in Tucson. She does live near Nancy's home. She may possibly, quite possibly, live on the same street. And according to Google, she has become a key figure in the community's ongoing search and investigation. Aldine reported seeing a strange man taking a long look at the street and walking around the quiet neighborhood about 2 to 3 weeks before Nancy's disappearance. Now, I've heard that it was most likely around January 10th or 11th. She also mentioned noticing a suspicious unmarked white van in the area just before the incident, which neighbors have reported to the police. She has frequently spoken with investigators, including interviews with News Nation's Brian Inton, sharing her concerns that the case might not get solved and expressing lingering sadness amongst the residents. After, let's see, no, Aldine and another long term residents remember Nancy as a vivacious, kind, open, and nice woman who had lived in the neighborhood since the 1970s and frequently walked around the area with a group of friends. Yeah. Hello, Marianne. Wow, 22 people watching. Can you guys give me a thumbs up and give me some red hearts that'll help bring people in? This Aldine Meister, she actually showed up at the scene last night, and the YouTubers on the ground recognized her. She had a woman with her who was identified as someone named Linda, who was described by Aldine as a medium. In other words, a psychic medium. Um, Trying to remember the last name. It might have been Cabello or Cabrello, something like that. But her name was definitely Linda. User K says Nancy's arrest is imminent, or a Nancy arrest is imminent. She must be deceased, don't you think? I think so. This Aldine showed up with a medium, and the YouTubers kind of gave her some space. They were standing in front of the. Oh, hello, Jean. Welcome back, my friend. Let me go give you a heart over on the desktop screen. My chat is behind there. Thank you so much. Uh, I'm not a big proponent of psychics, but this Aldine brought someone to the scene, a psychic medium. They went over to the memorial where the yellow flowers have been laid, and apparently the woman was crying. And once the YouTubers on the ground, that included JLR, the Juice, this guy Ted, who I'm not impressed with at all. I think the guy that was tatted was named Alex. I'm not sure. I don't follow any of these people. Um, they gave her some space, but one of them kind of walked over and was eavesdropping. And she told Aldine that someone needs to remove the purple flowers because where Nancy was abducted and taken to a home, she did say home, or at least that's how the YouTubers described it, that when she was taken, the home that she was taken to had purple flowers, and that Nancy is upset and she wants the purple flowers removed. Now, you can go down the psychic rabbit hole. You can go down the spirit box rabbit hole. Most of that stuff, in my opinion, is completely BS. Um, well, hello to you too, Jim. People have nothing better to do. Cabello, I believe, says Leanne. Okay, Linda Cabello, was that it? Let's see. Thank you, Kathy. Yeah, I think that our chats are not on the same, sometimes mine is behind or ahead or whatever. We're not all seeing the messages at the exact same moment, but thank you. So supposedly this woman was crying. They gave her space. Hi, Leanne Rayner. Well, we got two Leannes in here. They gave her space, but she insisted that Nancy was very upset about the purple flowers. They then later mentioned something about purple and green at the house that she was taken to. And if you are to believe any of that, which I don't, like I said, 99% of the time, these people are full of, you know what. Uh, but there are some people that do have the talent. And Aldine must have, been a friend of hers or an associate of hers if she was willing to, have her over to her home and take her out to the scene. And there were people in the chat saying they knew who this woman was and that she's legit, but, I'm not going to go there. I like just the facts and nothing but the facts being a licensed PI. But, we're 108 days into this, where else do we go at this point while we're waiting for the single rootless hair strand that was at the wrong lab for the first 12 weeks? So while that was happening, later on, my kidneys appreciate the hydration. Yeah, I was just at the kidney doctor yesterday. Thanks for the reminder. So somebody, I don't know if he's got like a private or, I mean, a public email JLR and people are sending him like private messages or IMs and they're like, hey, here's my phone number or can I have your number? Because somehow his phone number has appeared to have got out to some of his viewers. I don't think all the viewers have his phone number. And he seems to have two phones on him, one that he's filming with and one that he's like taking calls. And he often puts those calls on speaker and puts them as part of his show. And this viewer called in who was a woman, and not the same woman, Aldine, that was walking through the neighborhood with a medium named Linda, but a different woman calls JLR later on, like in the evening after it was dark, and said that she just spoke to a psychic and that psychic knew what happened the night before with the lights, with the very, very strange lights that were coming through the front window, like at, 2 something in the morning, at the time that Nancy would have been in the process of being abducted and taken away from her home in the middle of the night, that those lights, according to, like I said, if you believe in this other psychic who wasn't named, that was Nancy. And I don't know what your religious beliefs are. We're not going to talk politics or religion here. We never do. But, I don't know how to explain what was seen the night before last. It still bothers me. And now this, unidentified psychic who was through an unidentified caller um, said that those lights, that they were her and that she's angry. Um, you know, I hate to do a video about something like this, but like I said, it's day 108, and I'm just hearing the same old BS, over and over again. Like they're waiting for the rootless hair strand to get identified, and it could take up to a year because they don't have a root. And that the sheriff is saying that, he believes the case will get solved, but it's going to take time. And a lot of people are thinking that he was saying that he meant to say, or that he feels, or they feel that there's been a suspect, a prime suspect from the very beginning of this case, but they just don't have enough evidence to convict somebody. Um, or it can all fall apart in trial. So they want to make sure they have all the I's dotted and the T's crossed before they make an arrest, which I think is smart. Um, However, there's not a lot of stuff happening. Um, your living room's mad in it. What does that mean? Are you talking about my green screen? Yeah, there's a lamp behind me that kinda flashes. It's not a ghost, trust me. But this caller that called to JLR, and like I said, I'm not a big fan of any of these boots on the ground, but I appreciate what they're doing because they're able to go out there and, they put in a massive amount of hours, a massive amount of time and their own money just to keep this case relevant. Um, oh, geez, weirdos. Just weirdos today. Probably because of the subject we're talking about. It's bringing in the weirdos. Um, thank you, Kathy. Um, yeah, I have a very small screen here on the phone. I can only see like 3 or 4 messages at a time. Whereas on the desktop, if I go like this and I stop looking at the camera, then I can see more of the messages. So that's why it takes me a while to see them. So yeah, like I said, we're not going to get into religion here, but even people that are in hospice, you know, often when they pass, the nurses at the hospice place will tell the family, "Don't be alarmed if in the next few days or few weeks that weird things will happen in your home or you get little messages, that that's normal." Um, I've seen it happen myself, um, particularly when a very close loved one, unexpectedly pass. Things like that can happen. People can hang around or their energy hangs around, and, I don't know if that's an explanation for what those strange lights were, but I have to say that maybe it was a possibility, and that makes me sad to think that if Nancy is no longer with us, that, she may not have fully passed on yet, you know? I had a guy that I worked with years ago, a PI, and they moved into a house, him and his wife, when they were just married, moved into a house of a person that was actually ambushed and unalived at a local Southern California airport. The guy wasn't taken out in his house, but he had just bought that house. He was also a young man, newly married, worked all the time, bought a fixer-upper, had all kinds of plans for his home, had just started the work, and, somebody put out a hit on this man's life. This was in the late '70s. That was the only decade that I wasn't here in LA, so I didn't hear about it until the '80s, but it was a really big case out in San Bernardino County, and I'm not gonna specifically say where, but the man was taken at the airport, and a guy that I've worked with since off and on since the '80s, he and his wife moved into the guy's house, and from the moment they arrived, I mean, literally the moment they got there, things that couldn't be explained happened in their home, and they just felt like, well, after he was unexpectedly, taken out, that he even though his remains were left at the scene, that in spirit, he continued to head home because he was coming home from a business trip, and it happened I think it was late on a Friday or a Saturday night. He was taken at a local airport in a parking lot, and it was, believed to have maybe been from a gang, although he was not involved in gangs, and, his mother never got over it. Eventually, his wife moved to another location with the insurance money, and, the house was sold, and my PI friend and his wife moved in, and, their lives were never the same, but they were okay with it. They weren't scared about it, and, years later, those people were able to adopt a beautiful, gorgeous little baby girl, and about the time that their girl was around maybe 3 or 4, I think she's grown up now pretty much. She's probably married by now. This was many years ago, but, when their girl was a toddler, they finally did the last part of the house as far as the construction. They put on the roof. That was the last thing that needed to be done. That was on the to-do list. And once the work on the house was complete, that the deceased man had started, the couple told me last time I was in that house, that was years ago, but they said they hadn't had any more incidents, but it had gone on for decades. So, like I said, I don't know if we should even be talking about this topic on YouTube, but I'm still just thinking a lot about what happened 2 nights ago with the boots on the ground and the light I saw in the bushes, and then the lights that the 2 remaining YouTubers that were there, I believe it was Ted and JLR, and, you know, there's no way they could have planned that, fixed that, pranked the audience. I mean, I know those guys will probably do anything for clicks, but what happened is just it's unexplainable. Oh, hey, V Miss 5. Hey, Peggy. Who else has come in? Didn't say that at all. Let's see. Let me go back. Uh-oh. Got to put another user in a 24 timeout. Let's see. So funny. Just want to make sure I didn't miss anything that was inappropriate. Um, I gotta keep scrolling. Someone said, "Hi, Susan," but I don't. Oh, there's Susan Underwood. Hello, Susan. Did someone die in Nancy's house? Says LOL Bird. Not that I know of. I don't think so at all. Hey, Iceland. Awesome. I think you're the very first person, Dagny, that has come in from Iceland. I have had countries from all over the world. I mean, Australia, New Zealand, Israel, Syria, Pakistan. Pakistan, can you believe that? India. Many, many countries in Europe, the UK, Ireland, Germany. We've had parts of Africa, like Canada, Mexico. You are the very first, my dear, from Iceland. Well, welcome in, Dagny from Iceland. Everybody give Dagny a welcome. Yeah, awesome. Wow. How cold is it in Iceland right now? It's hot today in Los Angeles, and we have many, many serious brush fires that are burning. And one crossed the hill last night and actually jumped over to the San Fernando Valley where I live, but on the complete opposite end, like on the northwest end, and I'm on the southeast end. Um, the Miss Five says, "Me too, April. I even watched that part again before I went to work this morning. It sure happened, and there's no way those guys could have done it." Exactly. And there's no evidence to me that anybody is living in that house right now. Apparently, that same night after they left, sometime between the time they left and before 7 a.m., when other YouTubers arrived, those chains were put up at the end of the driveway. Um, let's see. Hello, Susan. Hello, Dawn. Dave Taylor says, "You have convinced me to go watch that stream from 2 nights ago." I thought about it, but then I was like, it was so disturbing what happened at the end. I was so taken by my emotions that I don't know if I could watch it again. It is a good watch if you haven't seen it. I mean, I don't think it's worth watching 7 or 8 hours worth. I just saw it from the time that lady Juanita got the traffic ticket by the deputies, which she shouldn't have been arguing with. 6 deputies for a handicapped person parked in the wrong spot. Like, she got a very hefty ticket too. It was close to $300, I think. She said how much it was. I don't remember, but it was in the high 200 range. It was a lot of money. Um, and then she had to move her car, but she argued for at least a half hour, maybe longer. That was the same night that they believe that someone delivered the poison cookies or the possibly tainted cookies, and that's a very serious offense if that actually happened. Somebody should be arrested for that if somebody sent tainted cookies. And I don't know if they were sent by DoorDash or I don't know how they got out there. I wasn't watching the whole thing. And but eventually whatever was in those cookies, it wore off and things got very serious, especially because that particular broadcast was a recreation of the crime. And, they started reporting like, okay, this is the time that front porch guy was seen on the camera. This is the time that this happened. This is the time that her heart, a pacemaker unsynced from her devices that were left in the home and she was probably taken. And it was right around that time that she was either being taken or in the process of being taken that the lights showed up. And now for the next evening, that's when the psychic or the medium, well, they're psychics, but Aldine referred to her as a medium. She admitted that, she was Aldine. She is the one that's been getting the letters that have been addressed to Brian Enton, but they've been coming to her house. And I heard another YouTuber say, and I don't know if this is true, that besides getting, she allegedly got 5 letters, but she also got some phone calls, or messages left on her voicemail. I can't confirm that. I know that the letter part is true because she actually met with Brian Enton again and he apologized and she was like, no, it's okay. Like, it wasn't his fault that somebody was trying to send letters to Brian Enton and they sent them to this woman, Aldine, and they were obviously, I call them the manifesto letters. We get them as PIs from like stalkers and stuff that are after clients. And I call it the manifesto letters, and right away. You can usually tell just by looking at the envelope that something, uh-oh, this is going to be a weird one. And so she did the right thing, and she called the FBI, and the FBI came out to her house and assured her that they're working very hard on solving this case. Supposedly they're leading the charge right now, but you know, I would love to live in a fantasy world and think that she's alive out there, but You know, she's 84 years old. They didn't take her meds. She was taken under much duress. Supposedly her heart rate spiked just before the pacemaker signal unsynced from the mobile devices. I mean, she was bleeding. I would have to assume that she was most probably taking a blood thinner. I don't know how far she was taken. I don't know how long she lived, but I don't think it was very long. And then if it was a kidnapping or something that was just the whole kidnapping and ransoms were all red herrings, even if it was a legit kidnapping, which I'm going to have a very hard time believing that. They didn't keep their subject, their target alive, I don't think, and they didn't have any bargaining chips. They didn't have proof of life, and then this whole thing went wrong. But I'm still not convinced that that's what it was. That's the original intention of this. I know that it's not a case of a burglary, a robbery, or an elderly person who just, fell down, hit her head, and walked out of the house in the middle of the night by herself. I just don't believe that because you have the masked man, at the front door when all this happened, when she left, and you also have him at the front door on approximately January the 11th. There's also possibly, very possibly, a getaway car that's at the end of the driveway or on the street in front of the driveway because the masked man seems to look in that direction. Uh, let's see. What have I missed? Hello, Will, if I missed you. Okay, the miss says it's not just the light inside. There was what looked like an orb even on the outside. Yes, it's the only way I know how to explain how it looked. Exactly. And I think it was JLR that thought it looked like a rectangle, but I never saw that. But he was looking at it with the naked eye. I was looking at it through the eyes of his camera, and cameras pick up differently than the naked eye, and I know that from, 35 plus years of surveillance, that what you see with the naked eye and then what shows up on camera sometimes can be 2 different things. And so when he was looking at it as he was filming it, but he was looking at it, he thought it looked like a rectangle, but it was definitely circular in appearance, and it was moving, and it was intermittent. It wasn't like the light went on, and then a few minutes later, or a few seconds later, the light went out, and that was it. No, it was moving, and it was facing one of the windows. I don't know which window they were looking at, because it appears that the garage that's on the right side of the house has windows in the garage, but I think it was like the windows in the front of the house, either to the left or the right of the front door. It was just hard to tell because it was so pitch dark. Remember, they weren't doing the reenactment during a full moon. I think that would have been more apropos if they were going to do this crime reenactment, that they do it during a full moon. So they would have similar lighting. It wouldn't be the same because it would have to be a full moon at the exact same time of the year where all the planets and the Earth and the moon were all aligned the exact same way. So, yeah, that was the only thing I was disappointed is that, the night they did it, the lighting was different. I got change. Welcome in. Let's see. I'm trying to do this. Oh, come on. Let's go. Julie. Wow, I'm so tired of the finger pointing. FBI and sheriff. Yeah, they should just be working together, Julie. Where are you coming in from? I got changed. God, we have Iceland in here tonight. That's so cool. V says yes, it was moving and it was round. Yeah, that's what I saw on the through the YouTube live stream, which was being filmed with a camera. Well, it was being filmed with a cell phone. I don't know if it was an Apple or an Android, but I assume it was one or the other. Um, yeah, just get it done. Alignment would be hard to match. Julie says, "Where's NG?" I wish I knew. Julie is from Kentucky. Couldn't see if the Amazon package left in the porch. There was an Amazon package when they were photographing the blood, since it was already unsecured. And remember, it was unsecured in the first 20 to 30 hours by the sheriff's department, the crime scene, but the FBI didn't come in until day number 5. Roger, Forever777 sent a high five. Thank you so much, Roger. Um, you're in the Bay Area. Well, I used to live in the Bay Area when I was just a little baby. Julie is from Australia. Wow. Um, Julie Lockyer? Uh, oh, Jay. Okay, that's your hubster. Yeah, okay, Roger. Okay, that Roger. Thank you, Roger. Nice to see you again. Yep, right here lying in the bed. Thank God for this stream. Wow, where in Australia are you, Julie, if you don't mind me asking? Hello, Jamie James. James Smythe, should we have any hope that anyone's going to be arrested? All we have is hope. That's all I got left at this point, 108 days later. It's getting harder and harder for me to come on here every day and talk about this. You know, um, some days I just feel like I need a day to myself and just to gather my thoughts on this. I don't know. I felt weird about this whole thing since I watched that live 2 nights ago. I watched it a little bit last night, but there was just shenanigans. And then somebody called the cops on them last night saying that they were starting fires in the street. And then the deputies that responded to that, they didn't even realize that they can watch the live stream later. And I guess JLR thinks that the sheriff's department, they're watching the whole time. But those guys, they didn't even know that you can watch it later. They're like, "Oh no, we're filming the whole time. Like you can rewatch it later if you want." And the deputy was like, "Oh, you can watch this later?" Like, yeah, they don't take it down. I mean, why would they lose all their views? Because a lot of people can't watch while they're live, but they'll come in later. If I didn't have the replays, I wouldn't even be making a penny on this channel except for the super chats. Like, um, yeah, they were saying that they were having a barbecue in the street. Julie said she liked and subscribed. Thank you, Julie. Matthew Tupper, I'm so tired of this BS. Yep. Queensland. Well, I do know some of the states. You're near the Australia Zoo. If you're in Queensland, I believe. The home of the Australia Zoo on the east coast of Australia. No, this is a green screen. I'm in Los Angeles, California, Julie. Oh, you're an hour away. Oh, thank you for the star, Don McWhorter. What's my count? Let me check. You mean my subscriber count? Yeah, last night it was just the last 2 days. I go up a few notches and down a few notches, then up a few notches and down a few notches. It seems like it slowed down. Hey, Quentin Broom. Welcome in, my friend Quentin. I'm at 2914. Now let me go to the chat on the desktop and give you a heart. Everybody give Quentin a like on that. Appreciate that, my friend. You can tell the deputies don't really mind them. They are kind of corny, but yeah. Oh, that's so funny. UC 291. I don't know what you're talking about. The subscriber count is 2,914. Oh, on the main page, it'll just say 2.91. That means 2.91K. But the actual physical count is 2,914. Well, like, yeah, can I speak? My Lametric clock, which gives me my YouTube count, it also says 2.91K. But the actual count is 2914. Nice Los Angeles. I have been to San Diego and Phoenix. Wow, all the way from Australia. That's a long ride. But they are funny, and like the light, you never know what's going to. Leanne, remind the chat to subscribe and hit the like button. Only 7 likes? Well, I've got 34 on mine. Sometimes you have to refresh that. I've got 51 people watching and 34 likes. And oh, someone just sent me another gift. Thank you. Let me see. Scent sparkles. Oh, it was mostly dolls helicopters. I saw it right when Kathy's things came up. So I'm sorry. Mostly dolls helicopters. I'm watching on the phone that I'm filming on, so I have a very small chat screen. And I had gone off the main chat page to see the subscriber count. I'm getting there. I would like to hit 3,000 by the end of the month, by the end of May. Why is it everyone acts like they can do what they want? Egos, I guess. May sent a sunshine. I didn't see that. I must have turned to look at the screen. They come up really fast sometimes. What is the latest on Nancy? There is no latest. They're just still waiting for that single strand of rootless hair, which means it could take a very long time, maybe up to a year. But yet, a lot of people are feeling like something's coming down soon. Julie, no, her house isn't haunted. The title doesn't say that. The thumbnail mentions that, but the title just says Nancy Guthrie missing, day number 108. If you see the beginning of this, you'll see what we were talking about the psychic mediums that came to the scene last night. There was a psychic medium that came with Aldine. Remember our friend Aldine, a friend of the case, not a friend of our channel, but she is a neighbor of Nancy's in the Catalina foothills. She's been very helpful with this investigation. And she brought a psychic medium to the scene. And then later on in the evening after dark, YouTuber JLR Investigates got a call from a female viewer who spoke to a medium who said that the lights that were reported the night before, remember the strange lights during the reenactment? They believe that that was um, Nancy from the other side, so to speak. Believe what you want to believe. I'm not saying that that's what the lights were. It's just one of many possibilities. We'll probably never know what the lights were, but it's something I've been thinking about for the last couple of days. It's disturbing. Vima says, "Oh wow, I missed all that last night with the medium." Yeah, she was the one that came with Aldine, said to get rid of the purple flowers. Apparently, somebody had put purple flowers, and they were trying to remember who brought those because they claimed that where she was taken, the home that she was taken to, which would be an indication that the psychic believed she was still alive when she arrived to wherever she was taken, that that place had purple flowers, and that she wished to have the purple flowers removed from the memoriam. Yeah, if you believe in that. So I'm very, very careful. And remember, the thumbnail, it's a temporary. I'm still having problems getting the size right. So it could even be changed. It's just going to depend. Quentin Broom. Maybe after NG case, you can document other interesting cases like Pat Brown. Yeah, I don't know the Pat Brown case. It is very disturbing, Jay. This whole thing is disturbing. Uh, that's not something, though, that I expected to happen. And I don't watch these guys very often because I'm too busy with my own life and my own situations and problems and medical and, trying to stay alive and take care of the fur babies. And, when I started doing these live videos, I wasn't planning for this to go 108 days with no end in sight. And that I would be here, once or twice a day, every day, except for, I think I missed my surgery day, February 6th. That was on a Friday. Because I hadn't slept since the night before because, the doctor made you be there at like 4 a.m. Unbelievable. What a nightmare. And to think that they didn't get it all now and I may have to go through this all over again. Interesting about the purple flowers. Yeah. Vima says, I watch them, not all the time, but a good bit. They are entertaining. Yeah, sometimes I said earlier, I don't agree with everything some of these people are doing or what they've done in their past. But at some point, you've got to have a little bit of laughter or humor in this because it's too dark, grim, and depressing. Sometimes you need some, comic relief, entertainment. That's what these people do for a living. Some of these full time YouTubers. I'm not a full time YouTuber. I'm not here for the money or the clicks. Maybe the person had purple flowers growing in their yard. I don't know. They didn't really. They just said at the house that the person had purple flowers. Um, they didn't specify if it was inside or outside, and then they also mentioned something about green. Jay says, "Yeah, a long time going on." Bemis, I tuned into him like about probably within the past week. Sent him a super chat. Juice is my favorite. He's a really good guy. The Juice. Um, Kathy Mowry, one of the susses. You mean who brought the purple flowers? That's what they were saying. Like they were trying to figure out who brought the flowers to Nancy's memoriam. That it was weird that everybody's bringing yellow and somebody brought purple. And now there's this psychic saying, remove those flowers because Nancy's very mad because there was purple flowers at the house that she was taken to. So, you know, look at the lady in Houston that is the sketch crime artist. She draws the criminal sketches like the suspect sketches. Now, she's an artist. I don't know if she's a psychic too, but she was able to see the guy with the mask, the front porch guy, masked man, and able to get a whole sketch and without, seeing the guy's face or his hair. So she's having to guess on the hair and the mustache and the facial hair, but she's not guessing on the eyes or the eyebrows or the lips. And they say that she has been able to help law enforcement solve many, many cases because of her ability to see that in her mind just by looking at, if I put a bag over my head and then you guys have to draw my picture, it's going to be kind of hard if I just have a bag over my head and I've got, two little holes for the eyes and a little hole for the mouth. And then somebody draws a whole portrait and it happens to look like me. That's basically what this girl does. Um, Vima says, there was a girl that came 2 days ago, brought flowers. I don't know what color, but I saw her. She stayed a while and spoke with the juice. Okay. Do I remember the meeting from New York that could read people? Oh, you mean the lady from Long Island, Teresa Caputo? Quentin Broom. Pat Brown is a profiler on YouTube who documents cases, but I think you have firsthand knowledge of some cases in California that are very interesting. I wish I could talk to you guys about some of the things I've actually worked on. You guys would be mind blown because you would know some of the people I'm talking about. Um, Jay says, I don't see how that sketch is possible with such little info. That's what I'm saying. But based on this woman's history, she has solved many crimes, apparently, with law enforcement hiring her to come in to do sketches. So she's a very credible person. And how she gets it, you know, whether it's on a physical, like this is what I'm seeing with my eyes, or it's up here and it's, in spirit, and, she's able to do it. And so people are taking that sketch pretty seriously. And there's a few things about that sketch that I got to be careful what I say here, but it creeps me out. And, I did take you guys, somebody came in the chat yesterday saying that maybe I should contact some of the FBI agents that I have known in my career. And I actually I'm a member of the California Association of Licensed Investigators, and we have a private uh, email that we all, like an email group. And I put out an email last night. And so far, I've only got like 2 responses because I've worked with a couple of these guys, but one of them that I remember the most, he's very old. He's like elderly. And I don't know if he's still like his company's still there, but I don't know if he's able to run it anymore because he's very elderly. And there's another guy, and I couldn't remember his name, but I believe he lived in Arizona, and I don't think he's a member of Cali anymore. A lot of these retired law enforcement guys, they go out and get their license, they join all these organizations, and then they don't know what the heck they're doing. I'm sorry, but it's very hard to make a transition from being a federal agent or a cop and then going into PI work. Some of them have it, most of them don't because they're just that, they're retired. And so the one guy, I couldn't even think of his full name because I was trying to look him up last night and I was going through the Cali website and the memberships and trying to figure the guy's name and I know he wasn't even in California. He was in Arizona. Uh, and that would help because if he's in Arizona and he was in the FBI, he might know some of the Arizona agents that are working this case now. The other guy that I've worked a lot of cases for, actually, he's in the San Diego area. He's like a really famous FBI agent. But like I said, he's elderly, so I'm just going to give it another few days to see how many responses I get to that uh, Cali listserv email. And then I'm going to maybe make a few calls. I haven't decided yet. And someone wrote me today on a comment going, oh, well, the reason you're not getting a response is because they're not taking tips. They're only taking credible information. Well, the lead or tip that I have is more than just a tip. This person directly connects to things that have happened that the police are looking for. So I'm not just watching YouTube videos in the news and going, oh, well, I'm just going to pull this out of my rear end and think that it's this guy. Like, no, I have a lot of legit reasons to believe that the front porch guy is who I suspect he could be. And it either, he needs to be confirmed or he needs to be eliminated. And remember, watch my video, watch my suspect video. Not all the suspects that are on my list are in that video, but watch the suspect video. Just go to my main homepage, of the channel, click the video tab, and you'll see that video. Um, Kathy says, I think PIs actually dig a little deeper. We do. We have to, because we don't have access to everything that law enforcement has. We don't have a DNA lab. We have to use our own private labs. We don't have all the resources that they have. We're not law enforcement. We're civilians. And even retired cops that are working as PIs, in California, they can't even carry their service weapon, because in LA County, a PI can't carry a weapon. Even if you are a Secret Service agent, an FBI agent, a retired LAPD, you carry your badge and your gun, you get caught, you're gonna get arrested. Like, most cops would let it slide, but there's very, very strict rules. Like I said, I could have gone to medical school and law school in the time that I trained, just before I started my own business. The artist did a very good job. I think she did, Kathy. Police and PIs have different thinking process, I would think. I know it's tough being a cop, but they do have a lot of help being part of the group, where PIs are often out there by themselves. Jay says she can't stand Teresa Caputo. Yeah, she's kind of just for entertainment, I think. Um, I can't find your suspect video. Oh, you just go to the channel page, because right now you're watching a live video, which would be a replay under the live tab. But there's also the video tab. My lives are a very small part of my channel. Now, since I started reporting on Nancy, I've only put like 2 live videos up. It's killing me. I'm complaining that I'm not getting my live views, but I don't have new material coming out because I'm out doing this every day. That's why I got to slim this down. But, this is where the views and the clicks are right now, is in the lives. But just go to the video tab. The most recent one was on, let me go over to the channel. Let me view my channel. Let's see. I'm going to, you know what? I can't do it with the live, with the green screen. I was going to show you. You just go to April Davis PI, and it says 2.91K subscribers. It says I have 563 videos. And then there's my bio. Then you click for the links, and you'll see all my links. You'll see the home page. Then you click the video tab, and it's the second video from the top. The last one was 4 weeks ago. See, that's horrible. You got to be doing 3 videos a week at least. It was on the missing Martin family from 1958. And then the next one says Nancy Guthrie missing person, possible suspects. And the next one after that is the celebrity haunted house in the Hollywood Hills, which is, and that's legit haunted. I'm telling you. Early on yesterday's live stream with Brian and his guys. What was early on yesterday's live stream with Brian and his guys? PI is a civilian in Cali. Yeah, private investigator everywhere is a civilian. We are not law enforcement, but we do have to be licensed. And in some states, it's very difficult to get a license, and California is one of them. We have high standards here. Let's see. Hello, G Shady Enterprise. I know, but how do I find the suspect video? You just go to the second video from the top under that video tab, and it says Nancy Guthrie missing person, possible suspects. It's right in the title. Oh, you didn't see any titles. So you might just be looking at the home page, because the home page will show you some videos, but just skip the home page. It says home, videos, shorts, live, playlist, post, membership, and store, which I don't have activated. My only store is on Amazon, the Amazon wish list, which is in the links. I don't have a YouTube store. I did when I was briefly monetized, and they kept saying that my tax ID number didn't match my identity. Like, well, I've only ever had one tax ID number my entire life, and I've only had one identity. So uh, they wouldn't put hardly any money into it, and then it messed up my taxes because they sent the paperwork late. And I'm like, you know what? If I ever get monetized again, screw the eBay, or not eBay, the YouTube store, because they take all the money and then they take the rest out in taxes because they say they can't match our identity. It's just theft. So you want to go buy something in a store, go to my eBay store, my Whatnot store, get yourself a free $15 on Whatnot, or go to my Amazon store. But just click the video tab, and it's the second video from the top. And there's a picture of Nancy and Savannah and Front Porch Guy, and a picture of the sketch guy that we were just talking about. Um, Come to Indiana. A PI can carry in Indiana. A PI can carry in most counties in California except for Los Angeles County. Uh, Jane Rice says, nice shirt. Are you talking about the twin shirt? Yeah, that was from the baseball mail, which, by the way, I still have not received any more baseball mail. I don't know what happened because 8 teams responded. The last baseball mail was stamped April the 16th, and today is May the 19th. So I have not received any baseball mail in more than a month. And I'm very, very suspicious that something is going on at the local post office. Many of my friends carry open carry in Indiana. Yeah, not in California. And I've got the permits when I was a PI to do so because I have not only the PI license, the guard card, but for years when I did studio armed work on TV shows, I had the exposed permit to carry because you can't get the concealed carry. So you can only conceal on private property, you know. So if I just happen to, work at Steven Spielberg's, just saying, not confirming or denying anything, I can conceal all I want because I'm on private property. But the moment I step on a public street and I carry legally open, which I can as a PI with the proper permits, if you did that in LA, everybody would be calling 911 lady with a gun and I'd be going down. So they're very, very strict about that in LA. Let's see. Where is the painting? What painting? What did I miss? Kathy responds, in the memorial space across from Nancy's house. Oh, try the St. Louis Cardinals, April. I actually got a response from the St. Louis Cardinals. Actually, I got a response from a third-party vendor that they hire, and it's like a handicapped people organization or something, and they process their fan mail. In Missouri, it is said it is the easy state to get a conceal and carry. Probably. Yeah, most states you just sign up and boom. And I have so much weapons training because I was trained by LAPD um, instructors. I know I've never been LAPD, but I was trained by LAPD. So, yeah, and I've got a whole scrapbook full of copies of licenses and guard cards and weapons permits and weapons training. And I used to competition shoot and won a lot of awards, but um, nobody will give a PI a permit to carry in Los Angeles. And sadly, a former cop, and they carry all the time, they can actually get arrested and be jailed for it if they're in the process of conducting private investigations. In Indiana, you take a written and gun test. Yep, that's the way it should be. Kathy says she has never shot a gun. Yeah, I wouldn't advise anybody get anything like that if they're not trained. But I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube, so I'm not going to talk about that too much more here. But, yeah, so the only thing that happened last night on this live that I watched was Aldine Meister showed up with a psychic medium who did not like the purple flowers and started crying and bawling on the scene. And one of the YouTubers on the ground, one of the boots on the ground, overheard her say that where Nancy was taken to a home that they had purple flowers. And then later that evening, JLR Investigates did get a call from a female viewer. I don't know how these people are getting this access to a cell number. And she said that a psychic claimed that those blinking lights that were seen the night before was actually Nancy. And that's why, and I did put it on the title, do have the temporary thumbnail, which, like I said, I'm having a sizing issue. Remember, I'm having to pay for that software. It's costing me monthly now, and it was supposed to save me time. In the last week, it's been a nightmare because every time I go to make a thumbnail, I can't get it to do it right. It makes it too big. I can't get it to resize. And of course, Canva, if you want to resize something, you've got to pay like, $16 a month. And it's like, I'm already paying for the epidemic sound, which I haven't even been using because I don't have time to film my long form content. Then there's the editing software. Now there's the thumbnail software that's somehow glitching this week. So I'm like, oh boy, I'm just overwhelmed with this. There's so much. Look how many times I've just been to the mailbox, which is great, like, to pick up the gifts. That's just been awesome. Um, like, I keep getting those little slips in my box that I owe 'em 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or $6 to pick up the packages. That's fantastic. So thank you, and none of this is required, like the super chats, the super thanks that are in the replays, none of that's required to watch. You can just watching and subscribing and giving me a thumbs up is plenty of help. As long as you guys keep watching and we get more subscribers and more people watching, that's what I need. In Missouri, there are so many people get their meat by hunting. There are a lot of deer and wild turkey here, plus rabbits and squirrels. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I'm not into hunting, but I know it is big back in the Midwest and other places in the United States. I know in Alaska, that's how the people survive. Um, is from nature. Uh, Renita Freeman. Hello. Where are you coming in from, Renita? Yeah, so, yeah, I don't want to be clickbaity here, but I've just been disturbed for the last 2 days about what I saw on that live that was at the house. And I mean, you really have to think about it. Like, you know, we want to be hopeful here and think that there's some sort of a slim miracle that's going to happen and they're going to find this woman fine and alive. But I don't think so. We have to be realistic here. And realistically speaking, she's no longer with us. And she went out. If she's no longer with us and somebody took her life was taken in a just horrible way. Even if she just died from a heart attack from the fear of what was happening to her at the moment. Uh, I hope that she didn't suffer long while possibly being held captive. But if that's the way her life was taken, and she wasn't meant to go out that way, and she just wanted to go home, you know, maybe in a way, spiritually speaking, maybe she did go home. Maybe that can explain some of the very strange things that are going on at that house. We're just, we're probably never going to know the answers to all of this. Hopefully, somebody is going to get arrested and they're going to have the right person. And if there's other people involved, that person's going to roll on the rest of the group and it's all going to, it's all going to come out. The truth usually does come out, but sometimes it can take decades. Chase says, brought up in Missouri, taught a 22 rifle at 8. I went to a funeral in Illinois when I was 7, and my cousin taught me to shoot a rifle. Now, we didn't shoot at anything living, obviously, but um, yeah, I was taught at 7, but that was just one visit to a farm in Illinois, but it was just like it was routine there. Not in the house I grew up in. We didn't have anything like that. James Smythe, so do you think there is a cover up inside of law enforcement agencies? I doubt it. I just don't think they're cooperating together. Michelle Heineman says checking through her pacemaker. I don't know what you mean, Michelle. Okay. Renita is from Wisconsin and Green Bay. I've been always watching every day. I hope one day we will know the truth. Someone is behind all of this, of course. My heart goes out to her family. Yeah, thanks for saying that, Renita. Whether you're watching my YouTube or somebody else's, like, yeah, I've been following this since the night that it happened. That's when it came out, that's when it broke on the Associated Press was Sunday, February 1st in the evening, at least out in, my timeline, on the West Coast, Pacific time. Well said, find out things through her pacemaker. They do know things from her pacemaker. They know that her heart rate spiked at the time that it unsynced from her devices. Um, Demas says, I just can't imagine how this person hasn't been caught yet. Because I think they're relying on physical evidence to cross the T's and dot the I's. And a lot of the physical evidence was compromised because the scene was released too quickly by Pima County Sheriff's Department, and that's on Nanos's head. And the FBI, who has more advanced techniques as far as processing that type of evidence at the scene, they weren't brought in until day 5. Mistakes were made. Jay, pacemaker too far from her to sync with anything that would pick up her signal if it's still sending. Yeah. Now they did have a what's called the sniffer helicopter around the neighborhood several weeks into it, and then at a later time, supposedly somehow a signal, not necessarily her signal, but a signal was picked up, and they put the sniffer copter or chopper out in the desert. They had exact GPS coordinates, but nobody went boots on the ground to check to see what that signal was. Very possible, Kathy Mowry, hiding in plain sight, maybe. Yeah, I still think they need to look into that house up at the end of the cul-de-sac a little bit more. I've heard a lot of people talking about that lately. I still wish the FBI was taking the tips or the phone calls seriously, because it's not just like, oh, well, I've been watching YouTube and I think it's this person. Like, no, I think that being a detective for 42 years, I have a lot of knowledge on what they need to look into. Now, I'm not working this case personally, but I still feel very strongly with what I know about someone who could very probably be front porch guy. Bemis, yes, that's a fact. Nanos made it a circus. Still, you think someone would speak up who knows because someone else knows besides just the perp. Oh, yeah. I'm sure there's several people that know. Um, Michelle says, I still can't understand why an elderly woman let her enjoy the rest of her life. No one deserves this. Exactly. Um, Michelle said, I heard that when they kidnapped her, they sedated her. There's no proof of that because they don't have a body and they had a spiked heart rate. My heart rate would spike too if somebody was pulling me out of my house in the middle of the night. It's very sad. It's very terrible. All of this is awful. I didn't mean to go this long today. I thank everyone that's come in. Everybody give me a thumbs up. I hope you're subscribed. Yeah, they can't check it anymore. It's not connected to her devices. It only syncs to her own personal devices, which then is relayed to her doctor. But they have to do it through her devices, which she doesn't have. She doesn't have her Apple Watch and she doesn't have her cell phone. Good night, Jane Rice. Appreciate you being here as usual. Thank you for the super chats today. And thank you to the people that sent the jewels. Enjoy when you're on your channel is relaxing to me. So thank you. You're welcome, Bemis. Yeah. I don't know what to say about this. I'm gonna get off the air and we're gonna go try to find out what's wrong with this new thumbnail software and why it's making my thumbnails big. And when I put them on the Canva, artwork, which, that's another cost, you know, um, they're not like resizing right. And then I'm having to change them. And they were working fine when I started. And now all of a sudden this last week, it's been a nightmare. And I'm like, I can't be paying for this. And I'm spending, a half hour to an hour a day just to get the right thumbnail. Um, they ripped her something from her table that went pacemaker. I don't know what you're saying. Thank you, Dave Taylor. Nice speaking to you. Okay, everybody, make sure you follow or subscribe. Let me check the totals one more time before I go off the air. We're at 2914. Yeah, it's not moving up as quickly as it was. I think a lot of people sadly are losing interest in this. Well, thank you for coming, Kathy. Okay. Thanks everybody. See ya.